basketball season is coming to an end. Districts are next week. We've got senior night on Friday. We've got some cool new things that we're doing for senior night. So we're excited about it. Other than that, we're just then starting to look ahead at track. Yeah.
I'm currently working on entering the budget for the next year, so that's gonna be ongoing. And then I was able to, we had our CPR trainer locally who was able to help us out this recertifying a bus driver. So I was able to find 2 other contacts, one out of Sealy and one out of Augusta. And potentially the one out of Augusta could help us out at the start of the year, lowering the price from $70 to $30. So I'm hoping that works out. So just communicating with her to see if I can get that settled. And then elections, we have just 1 form turned in, and that was Brenna, I think I can say that. So at this point, today's the deadline, so it looks like we won't have an election, so it'll be election by acclamation. So I just have to post some information and then communicate that with the county. But we do have one other deadline, which is a write-in deadline of March 2nd. So if we do get a write-in candidate who files with the county, then we'd have to have that election. So that's kind of the final deadline, and then if we don't get a write-in, then it'll be the election by acclamation. And then, let's see, I had 2 cash requests approved through Title I and the Montana READS grant, which is great. And then, as you know, the Bridged Health Alliance, it sounds like they've received enough to move forward with the healthcare for the state of Montana. So now we just have to reach out to them to find out what the next steps are and what's gonna happen. So it'll be interesting. And then we have, as I mentioned before, we have the lunch audit on March 19th. So I'm continuing to work with Alyssa and Michelle to get that ready. Just a lot of, paperwork, piles of it, so that's interesting. And then Sarah and I are going to be attending the MASBO conference in June. It'll be the 14th through the 19th. And there's so many things that are going on that I don't see Sarah at all during the day. We'll see each other in the morning and then at night, so there's a lot to learn. And then I have the transportation meeting set up with the county superintendent for June, I think it's June 19th, and that's to approve the bus routes for the following year, so that's good. And then the tax notice, that's for overtime, qualified overtime, where they can write that off on their taxes. I'm still kind of working that out. I just attended a training. It's a little bit more complicated than I thought, so I'm hoping to focus on that next week and get the summaries out to the employees so that they can file their taxes and then deduct that. And I think that's it.
Thank you. All right, superintendent.
Okay, I got a couple things. First of all, I got to go on the ski trip last Thursday, and it was the most beautiful day, and about 60 degrees up there, and it was a great group of kids, and just great day. So I had fun. I think they did too. And we're getting very close to. We kind of had a breakthrough with our master schedule for next year, 7-12. So we've been kind of stuck, and we kind of wanted to make a few adjustments here and there. And every time you want something in it, then it's going to cause a little bit of a glitch. So the glitches now that we have are the issues with it, because you always go through it and you go, okay, works for this, works for this, works for this. And then so this year, one of our glaring things was we have a high school band period, but 9th graders had English that period. And so by that alone, you didn't make it available for 9th graders to take. It's not acceptable, to have that conflict. And probably when it was set, none of the 8th graders said they wanted to take it. But then we got new students who I think would have been well suited for it. So that was, so I was just really happy that we got there. Nothing's perfect, but it's the best I've seen. So we'll share that next month with you. Also, of late, I just really appreciate it. I've kind of fielded some parent concerns and have shared those with staff, just, when it comes to like how we grade and how we address things. And so I just really appreciated a conversation I had this morning. Part of it is completely in a different state, we track things differently. And so the way in which it's coded, and I'll share this when we talk about the calendar, because you guys asked me like, hey Tom, what was our attendance on these days? Is when we code it in our system, if you're gone on a school-related trip, it goes in as an absence. And that's so my brain after 30 years of working in a different state is not wired like that. And so I looked at the parent this morning, I go, that's not an absence. And I'm like, yeah, it is. And our policy actually backs that up. So, I'm smart enough to backtrack on that and stuff. And so I just think there's some areas that we could do. One, we can always improve our communication. But, and then two is, getting things out there so we could quickly communicate, but also consistently do it. And if that's something that is, we do that one area, then we need to do it in all, especially when it goes to 7-12 and an individual student has 7 periods. It's just really important to that, because I think we get to that consistency, because like a question got, like an assignment is due, but you're leaving that day for a school trip. Well, that's an absence. So you really have until the next day to turn it in. Even though preferably, hey, you're going, it's due, but if you leave 4th period and that class is 6th period, you're technically, and we code it as an absence. I tend to not like to bring things to you that that was a pretty simple one we have to look at. So we have to make sure that, we just make sure that we're doing that consistently across the board. But things as simple as like missing assignments. If a class is, if a assignment is due that day, it needs to go in the grade book that day if it's not turned in. It does bring a grade down. It doesn't mean it has to be graded that day, but it does need, because that's one way in which we communicate with parents. These parents who choose to can see immediately, my kid's got a missing assignment and deal with that. So, I think that, sometimes they're hard conversations, but they're good conversations, because then I think if we're doing a good job, we're trying to clean those things up. So, because I just think it's a better way to serve things. So those were some important conversations I think I've learned. And probably this week, we need to go out. We accepted a resignation last month from a teacher, who was on a year leave. I think we should go out and fly that position, and then really, we haven't had a hard discussion on what our staffing needs are, but I'm confident that we will need to fill, that, and I'd like to go out in this window of time so that, candidates, who would maybe consider coming here will get, I think we're gonna have a need. So I wanna put it out there. Ultimately, we can decide not to fill it, but I would like to start, gaining and seeing what candidates are out there, because that does leave us, it would leave us with a hole for next year. Currently, we have a person filling that slot, but they're only on a 1-year contract. And I just can't simply say, hey, yeah, just come back next year. We have to go through a formal process if they're interested in coming back. And that, so we do have to technically go through that. That's it. Okay, I didn't bring it, but it's about that thick, but we had a fascinating meeting, and thank you to Merlene and Julie for attending. But JGA out of Billings, an architect firm, was nice enough to drive to Lincoln and meet with us. And so, sorry, it took me a while to go, I wonder what that means, but I've seen that big poster board I have, you know, is we didn't draw it. And if I go, someone actually drew that, I wonder if they still exist. Well, they still exist, yeah, they're still alive. And so they're an architect's firm, and they gave us notes from the work they did in our district in the mid-90s about what our facilities needs were, and what our facilities needs were here, and what our facilities maybe could look like if we decided to build a new school on land, our school trust land and stuff. So they said, we'd love to come talk to you and see what you guys thought. So two gentlemen, Terry, who was involved in those meetings, and Terry wants to retire, but he's still involved, and a younger man who's Mick, who is actually works for another architect firms, but they partner with them on all these projects. And they came in and met with myself, Merlene, Julie, Darcy was there, and also Derek. And so we kind of had a nice chat, talked about where we were, and some of our considerations, and they talked about the process, very interesting. And they right now are going to put together a proposal, because they obviously are interested in our business again. And technically, whether or not we'd have to go out with a formal RFP, a request for proposal, that's really when you go out to hire an architect firm to actually design things. But to come in and look at what our needs are here, which another firm is also doing, and I've communicated that with them. But then also look to like maybe what our needs are elsewhere. Then they also offer then to kind of walk us through, okay, these are your needs, these will be the costs, and here are the steps you need to take to get to the point of going for a bond measure. And they did put us in contact with a gal, I think out of Billings, but she immediately was able to answer Terry. Terry forwarded it to me, and our bonding capacity maxes out at about 12.3 million. And I found that was interesting information. So, that'd be a big step. And then obviously they wouldn't do all that work to get us to a bond, that's just helping us with our needs assessments and our cost assessments and our strategies to go out for a bond. Those, they would have services, and I said, we're in no way, shape, or form interested in doing it this fiscal year. However, if we could get a cost estimate as to what that would look like, we could sit down if we're interested and look to budget, that next step into next year's, budget. That's kind of where I was. So as things come forward, I'll obviously bring them. I did find it really interesting that Terry, who was familiar with the facility, what year did we build the concession stands? He keeps calling it, but our green football building?
Either 03 or 04, because our class worked on it. Like Jesse and all of them worked on it. Chase did. He graduated in 05. My guess
Ours
would
didn't
be
go up until 05. Or was it in 04?
no, it had to be in 04 because I think there's pictures and stuff of people from our class working on it. I don't know if she did or
Anyway,
not.
he kept
So between
he
02
kept
and
complimenting
04.
us on it, because he goes, I know for sure that wasn't here when I was here. So that was interesting. But then afterwards, it was really nice because Derek and I gave Terry and Mick a tour, because Mick wasn't, and Terry then actually, he and I met again, cause he also came in, he was, talking to our emergency services, cause they had submitted a request for proposal, so his firm is interested in that. He stopped by and handed off some sample drawings of other schools they've worked on, just to give us some ideas, but, he just said, Tom, I'm so glad you gave us that tour. I didn't think I really needed it, but I really needed to see it, as Mick needed to see it as well, because he wasn't familiar with it. Because it was good for me to see nothing has changed, and that really meant a lot to him. Was like, oh, and so really, what now is they're looking at. Like I think our square footage is adequate for our school size, with the exception of our multi-purpose room is completely inadequate for our needs. So he then goes, you know, I was really leaning toward probably as a cost-effective, you know, probably just off the top of his head. And he goes, please don't, you know, we haven't really dove into things yet. Saying that it'd probably be more cost effective to modernize here and build a gym here. And they do have plans that show where kind of kitty corner blocks the road. We'd have to somehow reroute, you know, or certainly this road and buses. But he just goes, once I saw that really nothing has happened, I don't think that's gonna save you any dollars, you know, staying here, you know. Because he and I had just discussed, you know, what could like this building for the community be necessarily repurposed as a consideration. So I thought it was, I don't know, I thought it was an enjoyable meeting. It's fun to dream and have those, but I'll keep you posted on that one. That's it.
All right, master contracts, school calendars.
Okay, I threw in there that language I'm going to recommend, and so my recommendation there, you guys seem quite interested in calendar 2, and so now in your packet, that's calendar A. And that's the one with the 2 Fridays. And so I wouldn't expect you to be able to read this. I could have posted on there, but what I had folks in our office do was to pull both in the 2022 school year and the 2023 school year. Both of those, we had a few random Fridays, 1, 2, 3, we had 4 in each. And there was really no perceptible difference. Couple times it went up, it was better on Friday, and a few times it was worse. The most glaring one was on the Thursday, Friday, when we had either district or divisionals, and I go, why does it read that? They're in school, they're just at a school event, and no, ours reads, they are absent from here, and that's what it reads, and I'm sorry, I just can't get used to that. So, and then it all based on the funding model is different from my previous district. So, with that's a glaring one, but the kids are at a school event. So, yeah, there's nothing that was glaring as far as using that as a focal point as making a decision. So my recommendation would be to, if that's the calendar you choose, to approve that with the language change, and then we can assume that's the one going forward. I met with Travis Williams today to say, hey, this is in it, he knows why it's there. I don't want you guys to commit, then the master calendar, I think, should then give you some flexibility, because you're eliminating 2 days. We're still well within the instructional aggregate hours that we need, but you could put those back without it being a scope of work change that I think could be possibly challenged. That was the idea. And then as a backup, say, approve B, if we fail in negotiations to change that article, update that article. That would just be kind of our fallback.
Any questions or discussions? Anybody wanna make a motion on, approval of the calendar A?
I'll make a motion to approve calendar A.
Right, we have the first for the motion on calendar A, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
With the language?
With the language, with B as backup.
With B as backup.
Thank
You threw too much at me at once.
Sorry. I
And I
know.
will second all
I'm
that.
asking for a lot.
Marlene has a second, public comment? Board comment? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Alright, motion carried. For calendar A.
So we will publish that as our tentative calendar until it's formalized. I'm not seeing why, yeah.
Alright, next one, proposed changes to the student handbook regarding the parent guardian supervision and extracurricular activities and student conduct education agreement during extracurricular activities.
Okay, same as last time, if you would just look at, number 2, you guys seemed like you wanted to add maybe grade levels there. So I wanted to, before it's finalized, give you a shot at that, and I just put a blank in.
Thoughts on grade level?
My personal opinion would be pre-K through 3rd,
So
possibly 4th.
A nice break is 3rd.
Yeah, that's kind of, we segregate K3 and
Kinda.
K6, and, so yeah.
So it'd be third and under.
Yeah.
Right, so
Or just up to 3rd grade.
both must be present and supervised for grades K through third. What are you thinking?
Pre-K.
Pre-K.
Oh, pre-K, can't forget pre-K. Does we agree to that? Okay. Right. And do I have a motion, for the proposed changing, adding in the, pre-K through third for the supervised, students? For the extracurricular activity and student conduct expectation agreement. I want somebody to say all of it.
I will make a motion to approve the proposed changes to policy for the extracurricular, agreement.
I'm ready to go first from Sarah, do I have a second? I'll second it. 2 seconds, public comment? Board comment? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. There you go. All right, so I will be gone during the March meeting, so, this can be a discussion on when, we wanna change the meeting. I know that in the past, we've changed it to the Wednesday of the week that we typically have the meeting, or, thoughts for the following Monday.
Either way, doesn't bother me. Whatever's easiest for you guys, cause I know you have the busier schedules.
Doesn't, yeah, don't matter to me. What works better for you guys?
I think that would be fine.
Six-
16th.
16th is the first day of track, so I might be there, but other than that.
Yeah, if we can do the 9th, or, doesn't matter to me. Is midweek a pain for you?
We typically have different things going on.
Okay, yeah, so maybe just moving to the next Monday would probably just be most reasonable.
That's,
Okay.
Alright,
yeah.
do I have a motion to change the March, board meeting to March 16th?
I will make a motion to change March's regular board meeting from March 9th to March 16th.
I got, a first, do I have a second? I'll second it. 2 seconds. Public comment?
change it to whenever you want.
February, next week. Any board comment? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Perfect, that works. Next one, accept intent to negotiate successor agreement.
Oh. Yes, obviously in your packet, our teacher group submitted their intent to negotiate. And by you guys approving that, time for us to start looking at negotiating, and you guys to assign 2 people. And for me to learn how you guys negotiate successive master agreements moving forward.
Any discussion?
Yeah,
You want
and
to
that
take
tip,
2 now?
what's that?
You want to take 2 now?
Yeah, sure, you know, you don't have to hold to it, obviously only 2 of you can do it, I think it's good if 2 of you are consistent with that, because if we have multiple meetings, it's easier that way, and then, certainly in March, we'll probably go into executive session, because that's when we kind of, Darcy's working on budgeting things and things like that, and, you know, I'm not used to the board doing the negotiations, I'm used to like, during those times, you guys, like, I advise you, but then you guys, okay, you know, not to exceed this amount without coming back to us and certain parameters you have to be stated, so, but I'll figure it, I can figure it.
Well, I'd be happy to be involved, I've done it in the past, so that's, would probably be helpful. So do you?
I have, yes.
I'm sure Sarah has too, though, but.
I have not actually.
Do you want to? Who wants to be my buddy?
It's up to you.
I have irrigating that need to do. About that.
I mean, I can do it. Yeah.
So you get me and Sarah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so, do I have a motion to accept the intent to negotiate successor agreement from the Lincoln Education Association?
I will make a motion to accept the intent to negotiate.
I got a first from Sarah, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Marlene seconds, any public comment? Board comment? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Mail ballot written plan and table.
So if we do have an election, this is gonna be the written plan that we have to submit to the Secretary of State. So, but if we don't, and if we don't get a write-in candidate, then we don't have to submit this. So I can wait until March 2nd, that following day. If we get a write-in, then I'll mail it in or email it. But, so that's just approving that plan.
All right, so if need be, for the mail-in ballot, do I have a motion to approve the plan and timetable?
I'll make a motion to approve the mail ballot written plan and timetable.
Right. First from Julie, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Marlene seconds, public comment?
Yes, it kinda goes along with this, but not really. But did I understand you, Darcy, that we're gonna have 2 open positions and only 1 person has put in so far?
Well, we're gonna discuss the second one later, so it is a different process.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just mine was open.
So hers is, the full 3-year term is open, and if, you know, it could be up for election if we get more than 1, but.
Billy's wasn't it on the same time as yours?
No, he's just absent.
No, Billy thought that. And-
Yeah,
I
I always
think
thought
Billy
that.
and
Yeah.
Julie are the
And-
same.
Yeah, Billy and
And,
Julie.
and,
Okay.
and of
My bad.
course, it's one of
It's
those things where I go, oh, okay, and then all of a sudden we look at, no, it's only Brenna up this year, and Billy goes,
So
darn.
there's only 1 person
It's
with
only
you,
Brenna.
or just you?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think we all thought that, cause
Okay.
Billy thought it too,
Billy thought that.
Okay.
just mine. All right, any other public comment?
Aye.
Really confusing here.
All right, discuss, approve, remove property, nature trail bathroom, gazebo.
Okay, in your packet, and this got kind of discovered when we were working on our agreement, which we approved, I think, earlier this month. With our renewing the agreement at Sculpture Park, there's this big insurance indemnity piece, and so I go, before we finalize this, I should call our liability guys, MSIG, and just say, you guys okay with this language, cause this shared property, you shared, there's different, you guys know where we are with that. And he helped me with a lot of and that was a big change, that we worked on, making sure that some important language got put in there. But then he pointed out, which I wasn't aware, we have been paying liability insurance on the bathrooms there, the nature trails there, and the gazebo style structure. And I was going, why are we doing that? And so we made it clear that, I made it clear that my intent was to recommend, it costs us $50 a year. It's not huge. But our deductible would be $2,500, and the only structure there that we built for $1,900, because it's the gazebo style structure that is considered our outdoor classroom. There's a picnic table under it. It's part of the parking area just off of it. And so I believe if it was damaged and destroyed, we could choose not to rebuild it. That could be a choice. Or I believe we could probably rebuild the structure within that deductible cost. So really the nature trail and the bathrooms are the sculpture folks' responsibility. So I made it clear that I wouldn't be recommending that would continue. We just need formal directions from you prior to us updating our policy for next year.
And we're adding the reader board? Is that what this reader board means on here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, right, that was my note.
Sorry, yeah.
Sorry, that was
You
confusing.
got like a working piece of document.
Any questions?
Or I should say the reader board falls under other insurance that we're already paying for.
Okay.
So,
You're right, 2003, Crow's Nest.
Oh, was that what it was?
If our school burns down, we're covered for about 9 million, 6 million, something like that. Anyway, that's the big number.
All right.
So,
Do I have a motion to remove, the property nature trail bathroom gazebo structure, from the liability coverage for 2026, 2027 fiscal year?
I will make a motion to remove the nature trail bathroom gazebo style structure liability insurance from our policy for next year.
All right, we got a motion from Sarah, do I have a second? I'll second it. Julie seconds, public comment?
Yes, I do. Now that you're talking about liability for accidents, whose insurance covers that?
if there's an accident here,
Over there in the nature.
well, it depends on who's using it.
Yeah.
So if we're over there with kids and we're walking around like we're walking around in the forest, it would be our insurance. However, if you're over there enjoying the sculpture park, it's theirs.
Okay, so they do cover.
Well, that's one of the things we cleaned up in our agreement was to make sure that was understood.
So nothing would come back onto the school then?
That's our hope.
Okay.
Never say never, but like, yeah, if a tree fell over and damaged a car in their parking lot and that person was there for the sculpture park, that would be on them.
And so the same would be if somebody's there hiking or whatever and they twist an ankle and they wanna get coverage and sue somebody, would it ever come back on the school that way?
I won't say never, but we basically made sure that in our new agreement, we were linked right there with the state as far as the state required that the sculpture park organization had coverage that kept the state from being liable because of their land use license, and we wanted to make sure we were named. I think there was an assumption, but we were named as such, so that was clear. I think we're better, but I've always been nervous about that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Any other public comment? Or comment? All in favor, say aye. Motion carried. Let's skip E. Just getting Marlene.
Merlene, I have to ask.
I'm stepping down.
Merlene
Come
needs
back
to
for my stuff in a minute.
She needs to recuse herself right now.
Don't write anything on my paper.
Rip up her resignation letter. All right. I need a motion to accept the resignation for the board trustee position from Marlene Lincoln.
I'll make a motion to accept Marlene's resignation from the board.
We got a first there, you're the only second.
I will second.
I got a second. Public comment?
That's a bummer.
Marlene. That's all I have.
That's all I have.
All right, board comment? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. It's nice having you.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Just like our table's so small.
The three amigos.
Sarah can hang out with us. We can have Stevie and we'll just start adding people. The whole board, everybody just come up here. All right, declaration of board trustee vacancy. So now we're going to have to open, but we open it for letters of interest now, right?
Yeah, so
Just for the remainder of
Her
Marlene's
term,
time.
right.
yeah, so I put a little backup sheet there. We have 60 days to, you have 60 days to appoint. So tomorrow we'll fly something on our letterhead and you know, post it and things like that, put it online. And then it says they need to, here it says they need to submit a letter. I've not found anything more, and so I assume agendize it next month, provide you guys with the letters of interest.
Correct.
And I think you guys have previous places we would interview folks, and I don't think that would be necessarily wrong, or we could have them sit and ask questions and stuff like that. I will check, but you guys have to then, you know, sit and deliberate, you know, in open session, and then somebody would make a motion, I move to approve, and somebody seconds, or no one seconds, and it dies or something, you just go down. Even if somebody submits something, doesn't necessarily mean you have to, you know, appoint that person and stuff. I think, from what I understand, if it's similar, is, you know, they could do that. You could simply appoint, like, on a previous date, they said, you can pull a phone book out and, you know, oh, they live here, you know, and so we had areas, so you had to live in certain areas.
Right.
But if we don't do that in 60 days, then the county superintendent of schools is required to do that,
To appoint someone.
to appoint someone.
So we have 60 days to do it.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
Let's put names in a basket and do that little the first person. May the
That's a
odds
lot
be
of names.
ever in your favor.
But I'll make sure I'm looking at all, you know, this is our board policy, but then, you know, I'll look up all the, Montana code, the annotated codes and stuff to make sure, you know, we're covering our bases.
Which are helpfully listed down here.
Yep. they
Since we
are. Yes,
digitized all our policies.
I do appreciate when those are there. Saves a lot of time.
Mhm.
Right. So then we'll just have to approve for the vacancy, the declaration,
You're just declaring it, so.
for the board of trustees vacancy. Is there a motion?
I will make a motion to approve our declaration of board trustee vacancy.
We got a first from Sarah, do I have a second? I was so confused. Public comment?
And we'll give, you know, and like the Friday or the Monday, so we can get it in the packet, you know. but
Right.
We just added a week to our next.
Yeah.
No public comment? Board comment? All in favor, say aye.
Hi.
I don't even have to look all the way down.
Oh, you did.
All right, so update the substitute list to add Marlene Lumpkin and Scott Fry. Do I have a motion to approve that update?
Make a motion to approve adding Marlene Lumpkin and Scott Fry to the substitute list.
I have a first from Julie, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Public comment? Board comment? All in favor, say aye.
Hi.
I was thinking we approved Scott, was that just for the,
We approved him as a volunteer.
that's right, that's right.
For Guitar Club?
We're moving up.
Yeah.
Sorry, I meant to ask that during the board comment, but yes.
So Scott and Scott's looking at, we will have an extended leave due to a maternity absence in our music area, so he's putting in interest there. So makes sense.
All right, and H, the addition, discuss and approve update to volunteer list to add Jerry Lynn Dietz. Do we have a motion to approve Jerry Lynn Dietz as a volunteer?
I will make a motion to approve Jerry Lynn Deeds as a volunteer.
Sarah has it first, do I have a second? I will second that. Public comment? Board comment?
Did we already add her for volleyball?
I wasn't in this
I
position
don't
during
think so, that was a new name for me.
It was Crimson and,
It sounds familiar, actually.
no, Crimson was, and then,
No, Jerry Lynn was unavailable up until very recently due to personal matters, so we
Gotcha.
didn't add her because we weren't sure just for basketball, but I also was not sure about fall sports.
Okay.
So what I thought I'd talk briefly with Claire about is, as though we needed another form in our lives, but, it's just when somebody requests somebody like, hey, I could use, you know, help, we have actually a form of, you know, who's requesting it, what the purpose, what the time frame is, and then in like in this case, I believe it came from a coach, went through, you know, signed off by the AD, signed off by me, and then we just have a little bit of a tracking, like when it was done, and then also like, you know, that it's for this specific purpose. And then a lot of those we can then have in, and then we would then have those names easily available to us for the next year.
Yeah.
Then in like August, we would say, okay, you know, for this year.
And is that, using that for all volunteers? Like what about all the people that come in and read with the kids?
Absolutely.
Same thing?
Yeah, like in that case, like
Yeah.
Joni would, you know,
Mhm.
hey, I want these
This is my
folks. And
list
it
of-
just
yeah.
gives, so then I know also, like if something happens, who's the, you know, cause it's
Right.
really, it's a sponsoring employee at that point. The coach is an employee, you know, and so, you know, you're kinda accepting some responsibilities. You know, my kid is approved volunteer and you'd be practicing tomorrow night. Well, if he does something untoward, you know, it's like, who's the sponsoring person?
Right.
It's paid, it's not me, it's
Yeah.
my kid. Anyway, yeah, just so we have a little bit better
Yeah.
tracking of why they're there
Perfect.
over time.
Do volunteers need to be fingerprinted?
That's a great question.
I think if you are working with kids, you have to be.
alone.
If they're alone, they cannot, if they're not approved fingerprint, they can't, yeah.
I couldn't remember how that was, okay.
Yeah.
Alright, any other board comment? All in favor, say aye.
I,
Motion carried. Alright, you want to into executive session?
We do, we're going in.
All right, at this time, we're going to go into executive session. And you guys can all come back if you want to,
Yeah.
watch us adjourn the meeting. For funsies if you want.